Hey guys, it's me, Missy with Rustic Relics. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I take these 4 items and just update them and give them a new spring updated look. So let's get started. Okay guys, so I found this really fun chicken. He has a date on the bottom of him. I think it was 1987. So I thought he was due for an updated look. So I grabbed some Dixie Belle paint, and the color that I chose was drop cloth because it's a very neutral color. It could go with any kind of color scheme you got going on. So I'm just using my Belle brush, and I'm just making sure to get into all of his cavities and give him a good first coat. He's so cute. He's a lot of fun. So we're going to let him dry, and then afterwards we're going to come through and do a second coat. So I still at this point couldn't decide what I wanted to do. Did I want to glaze him, wax him? I wanted to do something to let his feathers really shine through, but I really couldn't decide yet. But I thought, how cute would he be in a kitchen, next to some cookbooks, or on a riser, a little shelf? So I grabbed my sanding sponge and I decided to just lightly distress him. I didn't go heavy at all. I just really wanted to hit his high points and let his feathers kind of show through and let that brown peek through. It looks really good with the drop cloth. So I'm just giving him a light sanding, smoothing out all of his paint, and letting his details really show through. So I thought for the top coat, instead of waxing it, I thought a clear coat would be better because it would be easier to dust with him having so many feathers. So I chose the clear coat, and this is the satin finish, so it will have a slight sheen to it, but it's not too bad. So I'm just going over it, giving it a good coat of the clear coat, and then we'll let him dry. This piece was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy doing him. Okay guys, so here we have a frame, and frames are not my favorite thing to paint. They can be really difficult in the corners. You want to make sure that you pay close attention to any overlapping or runs in those areas. I don't have any intentions of distressing this frame, so I'm wanting to make sure that I pay really close attention to those areas. Now with this frame, I don't have glass or a back, but I do have a piece of cardboard that I did cut to fit the first lip of the back of the frame. And I really liked that because it kind of gave it a shadow box effect. And I have these really fun prints that I just got, and I really wanted to use this one with this frame. The reason why I chose a drop cloth is because it is a really neutral color, and you could, if you wanted to change the print out, it would, pretty much go with anything that you got. So this is the second coat. We're coming through, making sure that it has the full coverage look. Again, paying close attention to the corners so we don't have any overlapping or runs, and again making sure that I get the inside of the frame really well so that way you don't see the original color. And then we'll let it dry, and here I'm going to seal it up with some clear wax. So I'm just using my wax brush, and I'm just brushing the wax into the frame, making sure to get the inside where I painted it up to. And that is my paper. It's actually a decoupage paper, but I didn't want to decoupage it to the cardboard, so I just used a little bit of Elmer's glue, and I kind of tacked the corners of it to the cardboard and let it be like that. So here I'm just gonna buff the wax out of the frame and then pop my print into it. I love it. Okay, so here I have this little rabbit guy, and I'm not sure if he's like a soap dish or a trinket dish. I really like the idea of him. I'm just not a fan of his color. When I first got him, I thought he was really dirty, but it's just his color. So I grabbed some vintage duck egg and my Belle brush, and I'm just going to go through and give him a good coat of paint. And you can see he has a lot of detail. He has these little overalls on, and they have pockets and stuff. And he's so cute. He's really fun. I thought he would be a good spring piece. It's kind of why I went towards the vintage duck egg. But I also thought that if you have that cottage style, that he would be a good piece for that. He could sit out, you know, all year round, especially if you were using him as a little trinket dish for jewelry and stuff. He could, you know, sit on your dresser. He'd be really cute. He would be cute in a little girl's room for her to put her little jewelry in. There's just a lot of different ways that I think that you can use this piece. More than just for Easter or spring. I think he could be used year round. So I'm just using my Belle brush and I'm making sure to get into all of his detail. And I will have to get my little artist brush because my Belle brush is too big to get like underneath his arms and stuff. So I just get the little artist brush and I'm making sure to get in all of those little spaces that he has and making sure that my paint's not too thick or anything like that, and get in his back pockets. I thought he was really cute. And then we're just going to let him dry. And here I thought the best thing for him would be to glaze him. So I just have a dry paintbrush and I have the Dixie Belle whitewash and I have a paper towel, and what I do is I dip it into the glaze and then I kind of wipe it into the paper towel, and then I'm just like dry brushing the glaze all over him. So that way I'm just touching the high points of him, not so much getting into all of his detail. I'm just hitting the high spots of him. And I think that that really brings out the detail of his overalls, of his ears, his face, and of his basket. And another good thing about the whitewash glaze is that it seals up the paint. So that's all I have to do. And anywhere that I see that I might have got too much, I just take my paper towel and I kind of just dab it back off. So that's that. Okay, so here I just have this little fake plant, and I decided to brighten the pot up by giving it a coat of drop cloth. And while that's drying, I'm gonna make a clay mold using one of my Prima Redesign molds and some clay. And then I'm just going to glue it onto the pot. So here's my mold, and I'm just going to dust it with cornstarch so that way it will release the clay easier. So you just want to make sure that you get into the mold very good and then dust off any extra. And then I'm going to take my clay and I'm going to work with it for a minute and just, you know, get it softened up. And you want to make sure that you close your pack so that way it doesn't dry back out. And then you just mash it into the mold and you pull off any extra. On this piece, I had way too much clay. I didn't need that much, but it's okay because you just push it out, pull it to the side, and then you can reuse it for another mold or another project. So you don't have to waste it. And then I have this little scraper and I kind of just use it to mash it down flat, and I'm just making sure that I get the clay deep into the detail so that way when it releases it shows all the pretty detail that these molds have. And I was so happy with the release. So I'm gonna dust it with cornstarch again, use the rest of that clay and mash it into the mold to make a second one. And in this one I really didn't have to make the full mold because I only needed a few pieces of it to finish wrapping around the pot, but I didn't think about that when I was making it. So I'm just pulling off any of the excess, making sure that it's in the mold really good and flat on the back. So you want the back side to be flat so it will glue evenly to your project. And then I'm going to let it release from it, which I was happy with that too. And there's my molds. It has a lot of detail in it. So I'm going to use E6000 to apply this mold to the pot. Usually I use wood glue, but I went with the E6000 this time. So you just want to put a little bit on the back, and then you kind of want to smooth it out with your finger to get around the edges, but you don't want a lot of glue that it will come squishing out. You just want to get around the edges really good. And then you apply it to your little pot and you tap around all the mold to make sure that it's touching the back and gluing is secure in it. And then I'm going to use some painter's tape, and I'm just kind of like wrap it around the pot so that way it holds the mold to the pot. And I'm using a razor blade to kind of clean up any of the edges, and if there is any excess glue, I can get it off. And I'm just putting some tape around, and then I'm going to measure, cut what I need, add some more E6000, and just kind of spread it around, and then line it up to match my other mold that I put on. Tap it into place, and then use some more tape to secure it. And then you're going to want to let it sit for 24 hours so that way the clay will dry and the glue will dry. Okay, so now that everything's dry, I decided to get the black glaze, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on my brush and just wipe it off with the paper towel, and then use a dabbing motion to get into all of the creases, and then taking a paper towel and then just blotting it away. And then I'm also going to coat the rest of the pot and then wipe it off, and it also seals the paint, so now I don't have to add a clear coat or a wax or anything because the glaze will seal the chalk paint. But I'm just letting the excess glaze stay in all the detail of the mold so that way it really shines through. I was really happy with the way this turned out. I thought it was really cute. I think it turned a little cheap fake plant into something a little bit more nicer. I had a lot of fun. Alright guys, so that's it. I really had a lot of fun redoing all these projects. I hope you liked them too. Let me know what you think. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and hop on over to Facebook and see more items like this throughout the store. Thanks.